This is iRacing.
Well, last week, Ramos Fiore took home the victory at VIR, but it's a little bit different this week as the final week of the season of the Skip Barber Race Series heads to somewhere they love to go every season. It's Bathurst this week, and it is going to deliver like it always does. In fact, the last time we were here on the broadcast for Skippies, something magical happened. I wonder what happened there. Regardless, I am Craig King, and joining me in the booth is Alex Goldsmith with Christian Duploy doing the cameras provided to him by Dougie Beard. Now, Alex, this is the track the community of Skip Barbers love to host at the end of every season, and it's just a treat that we get to see it.
Yeah, we're going to hear the Skip Barbers screaming right up to the rev limiter here today at the good old Mount Panorama. Yeah, and I was just checking out that footage that you were talking about as well. Expect possibly more of the same tonight.
Well, we'll get into that later, but if you've never seen Mount Panorama, where have you been? It's one of the quintessential street tracks of the world. To find out more, we head to our GSRC track guide, brought to you by Joe Peak.
Welcome to Mount Panorama Circuit. Most drivers simply refer to this place as Bathurst, with it being located just to the southwest of the city's major hub. But most ominously, and perhaps appropriately, it's been nicknamed the Mountain. With more than 500 feet of elevation change over the course of a lap, it's easy to understand why. Though originally built for racing, it's become a street circuit over time, with the track itself used for regular traffic and featuring residential housing all along the roads. This makes this 4-mile, 23-turn course incredibly unique in the world of racing. In the past, the track has hosted a variety of types of cars, including open-wheelers. But modern safety standards means that most competitive racing has now been limited to sports cars and touring cars. However, the dangers are very real due to the incredibly high speeds and lack of runoff throughout much of the circuit. The quickest parts are the run up the mountain straight towards Griffin's Bend, and then the flat-out blast back down the Conrad Straight and into the chase. This chicane was added in the late 80s to break up the run down to Murray's Corner. But while most chicanes are derided for ruining the character of a track, the terrifying speed as you approach it and the general difficulty make it fit right in with Bathurst challenges. However, the toughest portions are undoubtedly along the mountain itself, with notorious corners like the Cutting, Brock's Skyline, the Dipper, and Forest's Elbow. In fact, one of the more unique worries of this course is that all of these parts are so narrow that track blockages due to wrecks are not uncommon in the first few laps. The Australian fans often line the fences and hillsides to witness the daredevil spectacle of drivers trying to claim King of the Mountain. You can't blame them with how rare of a sight a track like Bathurst is today.
Well, there is the views of Mount Panorama, and Alex, we're going to see a lot of it today, and it's all about those straights on there. That's going to provide a lot of overtaking chances.
Yeah, Mount Panorama, established back in March of 1938, the quintessential home of so many events, the Repco Supercars 1000, the Bathurst 12-hour, and so on and so forth. This circuit measures just over 6.2 kilometres, 23 turns, and 50% of this, Craig, is at full flat chat.
Good grief, and especially in these cars as well. There's going to be a lot of flat out here today. You can almost go around Mount Philomey at the top of the mountain, just going flat out there and just sliding the cars. But we talked about that moment, and it's up the hill, Alex, because usually you can only take a car single file up the mountain. Last time we were here, that wasn't the case.
It was Noah's Ark style, 2x2 hurrah, going through the Cutting, all the way through Quarry, up through Reed, Stillman Park, into McPhillamy, down into Skyline, and it nearly carried on through into the S's and the Dipper heading into Forest Elbow. But it is a circuit that is so difficult to tame. It earns a lot of drivers' respect, and if you get through a race, it's a victory in all its own right.
And these drivers will hope to go through it today. So no standings, of course, today. But if you're curious about the iRacing official standings of this, Flato Tito is almost pinned on to win the iRacing championship. But we'll go to the race information because, as I said, it is the final race of the season. So it's round 12, of course. And today we're doing 10 laps. So that's going to be quite a long drive around here for the drivers. But more importantly, it is open setup. So bring what you want. Use the setup provided by you by the community. But if you crash the car, you got a spare car. And I think we may be seeing that today with what's going to happen out there with the Wolves. But key thing as well is this is a standing start, as with the Formula races. Disqualification, it's old school at 17 incident points. That standing start will be interesting, though, Alex, because it's a short run to Hell Corner.
Yeah, it's very, very quickly through into Hell Corner. It's the first of the two long straightaways up from Hell Corner, down Mountain Straight, and then it's an uphill right-hand sweeper through into Griffin's Bend, and then the elevation change continues. It's a bit like Nemesis at Alton Towers. You go up, 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 and then all of a sudden you go down the roller coaster. And then, of course, after Forest Elbow, you've then got the iconic Conrod Straight with the triple corner at the Chase.
Yeah, back when this was first about there wasn't the Chase there. It's the only thing that's ever been added to the racetrack, apart from some extra runoff and getting rid of some of the grass and gravel out there as drivers just started their first laps. They've done their outlap, and here's Pablo Epps as well, one of the drivers with a pro license on iRacing here, the 9K driver coming around, and you get to see through the camber. That is the quarry bend at turn 2. Just wanted to run a lot of that curve there. Make sure you get the weight balance here. The transfer is oh so crucial in this car. And then it's straight on here. Where do you brake when you get to the cutting? Want to be careful. There is a bit of a dip there. So you want to get up the dip, then kick it out wide, because that's the fastest way, is to take that wide exit there. And now to the tight line into Griffin's Mount, followed by Reed. And then he'll come to the Frog Hollow with the grey gate, as they say at the side, because there is the water gate there to make sure the water comes through. McPhillamy is practically flat out here. Now you get a bit of a rest for about 3 seconds before it's all downhill.
Yeah, also Pablo Espes has raced for Williams Sim Racing, 20 years of age, based out of Barcelona, and was running in the FIA F4 Esports Global Championship last season. So he's definitely not one that's going to be hanging about. And look at the amount of wheel work he's doing as he goes through out of Forest Elbow, tight to the wall on the right-hand side, and then it's pedal to the metal, flat out all the way through the gearbox here on the Skip Barber cars. So he's going to be trying to get to that top end of that rev range, and it's over the crest before you see your apex point for the Chase. It's downhill, and of course we do see from time to time the customary ramp jump off of the Chase that happens on the odd occasion on certain events, but it's going to be hard on the brakes, rotate the car through the corner, through the first part of the Chase. And if anyone might remember the good old redress between Scotty McLaughlin and Garth Tander a few years back, well, that's exactly where it happened. Into Murray's, you've got to line it up straight for the corner, get your nice braking point in, rotate the car through, and Pablo comes across the line, 2:31.456, and that's 6.2 kilometers completed as Vlado Tito goes across the line. And his fastest lap, well, he's P2 at the moment as he fires it through with the curves. There's Xavier Sanchez, currently 5th at the moment on a 2:32.477. I'm going to expect this one is going to be very, very close in qualifying, Craig.
Yeah, well, the gap at the moment is just under 4/10 between Tito. Remember, he leads the championship overall on iRacing and S there. So you see his Heike 360 starts to make his run through. A second between 1st and 5th is a big chunk. We haven't talked about the forecast right now. It's 22 Celsius, 72 Fahrenheit, sorry. A little bit of wind, and of course there's no rain out here today. But the wind is a little bit there, about 8-9 kilometers an hour southeast, if you want to know where that is. North is basically, you're going south as you're going up the mountain straight, as Raul Rocha's Guardia is also now setting his way through. He has been really close in the championship as well. He's currently 2nd in the overall, and this is not the broadcast standings. We're talking about the overall standings you can see on the iRacing UI and all the iRacing standings, which, remember, if you win, you get a nice little PDF you can print out.
Yeah, as Guardia goes through, Skyline through the S's, and look how tight the number 6 is going to the wall. He's using everything and then some when it comes to getting through the dipper. Now it's the run down into Forest Elbow. Guardia really using more than just the tarmac inside the white lines. He's using slightly outwards, and he was getting very, very close to the wall. And that's what you got to do with the Skip Barber cars around here at Bathurst, going down Skyline, the S's and the dipper. You've got to throw a little bit of caution to the wind and nearly graze that wall in the process.
Yeah, but if you get a 0x, you get a contact 0x, your qualifying lap is invalid. So you want to be a little bit close to the wall, but you don't want to kiss the wall. Save that for the race. This is the pre-meal. This is the starter for the day. Don't want to hit a lot of that curbing. Does kiss it a little bit, does Guardia. Now just slides out. And notice he doesn't use all of the runoff there. A little bit of a raised curve here, and especially here when you come through into Murray's Corner. You don't really want to be going too much on that curve. Comes around into the start line. Is it better? It is better. I don't think he's got it, though. He goes into P2. What about Blado Tito? Nothing for him. He had to hide in. He goes third.
Yeah, and that just goes to show how quickly these drivers are pushing around the circuit. Agustin Tenat comes across the line, 12th position. Herman Suarez will cross the... does a 2-minute 34.4 and puts him down into 16th position, but 17 cars ready to go. Racing here in a land down under. It's a wonderful track. I can't wait.
I can't wait either. Let's get to that grid. I'll get the first page for you. As we said, Pablo Epps is leading with Raul Rocha's Guardia in P2. Great time there, as Blado Tito will be in third with Andre Castro in fourth. Ricardo Espinela Martinez will be in fifth with Paul Smithhurst making it in sixth. Then it's Josephine Becker in seventh, next to Javier Sanchez in eighth. Peter Sopanki will be ninth with Miguel Cueno Martin in 10th.
Then we turn over the page and go to 11th. It's Tim Bertie with Augustin Tenat on row 6. Julian Delgado and Benji Roig on row 7. Alex Otero and Herman Suarez with Rosy Sandor rounding out the 17-strong grid. And a very, very close top 10 there, Craig, as well. So this should be a very action-packed race over 10 laps here at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, get one more look on the helicopter before we're just waiting for a couple more drivers to grid up here. That run is going to be important, but of course, everyone never looks at what happens at turn 1. It's what happens at turn 2 at Quarry after that long straight. We're going to see a lot of that overtaking today. And the interesting thing as well for Guardia, he is on the outside, and it's a little bit of a slope down on the outside there of the grid. So he's going to need to be careful getting the launch, and all these drivers need to be careful getting the launch. I'm just waiting to see if we're waiting on anybody else. Yeah, one driver, there he is, just as I said that, or she, just as I said that, they are ready. They're going to be going to rev it up shortly. It's going to be 10 laps around Bathurst, and the green flag goes, and as expected, the pro driver, the Williams driver, Pablo Epps, takes a really good launch here. Nothing that Guardia could do. In fact, everybody at the front of the field decide it's not worth looking for anything right now. Let's see if anyone makes any mistake out of Hell Corner. Just one overtake. And I tell you what, straight away, Raul Rocha's Guardia, he wants this. And he gets such a good run coming out of Hell Corner that Pablo's looking. He wants to just slot back in. He can't. They go down the hill. He gets a little bit more power, a little bit more downforce. Raul Rocha's Guardia is going to have to do this around the outside. He's going to have to be careful. He will try this. And nothing there. Everyone stays as they were.
Yeah, it's going to be single file, but there is a... Look at this. They're starting to fan out already, and that's 5th and 6th. Martinez and Smithhurst going side by side up the hill in towards the cutting. They're going to be hard on the brakes. They're going to be very, very careful. If anyone might remember a certain Mr. Ambrose and a certain somebody else having a bit of a ta-ta-ta at that point of the circuit. But meantime, we ride on board with Josephine Becker, the number 13, currently behind Paul Smithhurst. And you can see it is single file formation at this point in the race. It's not worth going for broke, but when you get down to Forest Elbow, that's when we're going to see the pecking order really start to show its hand.
Yeah, downhill is the toughest part of the track. I know I can't do downhill very well. I'm slow. I'm almost on the brakes all the time as they go through. Interesting to see the different sets of setups here. Smith first there in front of Josephine, a little bit looser, sliding the car a little bit more, and sliding is usually the way you want to do it, but drivers taking different lines. In fact, right in front, Andre Castro had a terrible Forest elbow there, losing out, but also crucially, right at the front, side by side, you just see it there. It's the leaders. Guardi is going to take the lead. However, they're not going to go free wide. Vlado's got the speed. Vlado, it's only lap 1. Free wide down Conrad Straight. Take it like that, old chap. He takes the lead, but as Pablo responds, he won't respond when the Croat just blocks that racing line.
And well, Josephine trying to get a move up the inside through the second part of the chase, but Vlado, Tito, chapeau, my friend. That was brilliant. Peter Suapanki now going alongside and passing Julian Delgado in the Flying Finn in the number 10 car. Will get through at the inside of Murray's corner. Oh, but someone's had a big old exit stage right, and I think has lost a lot of time. That's Ricardo Espinella Martinez, who has dropped down the order and is all the way down, started 5th, now runs 14th.
Yeah, we're trying to get a move done around the outside of Murray's corner and just carried way too much speed there. He felt like there was contact there between him and Becker. There wasn't anything, which was very surprising. And again, look at the front and Pablo retakes the lead. And I wonder, Pablo is really getting a lot of speed through here. As Josephine Becker, we just watched this with Sanchez right there. In fact, it was Becker getting past Martin as well, as Javier is a net 0 for the day. I wonder if some of these drivers have taken a little bit of wing out, because you can do a little bit of adjustments here. Pretty sure you can just touch the wing just a couple degrees or so, but it's interesting to see Pablo having a really good stop. But here's this replay here with Ricardo Martinez. He feels a little bit hard done, but I just see that as just a mistake trying to do a line that's not possible.
Yeah, the back end just over-rotated. I think he just turned in a bit too hard. Did you see how close Raul Rosa's Guardia was to the wall by the Great Gate as Vlado Tito, his back end's sashaying from left to right as we ride on board with the man from Barcelona. Pablo Espes leading the way as they go down the hill through the S's. Now it's on the run down to the Dipper, and Espes at the moment has got a lead of just over half a second. They now come through Forest Elbow, and I did see that Ricardo Espinella Martinez did actually have some contact with the right rear tyre on the wall coming out of Forest Elbow on lap 1, so maybe that's attributed to his spin out at Murray's corner.
Well, we'll have to watch, because I just saw Guardia going around and touching the wall. Now these three are starting to get together. Smith Hurst right there, Castro there, Becker as well. Becker has really shown her standards here, really shown how much of a threat she's going to be down next year when it comes to racing, but could not make a move on the man with a pro license in Andre Castro as Paul Smith gets on by. And what we expected to see has happened, that everyone's just taking battles, but quintessentially, we've had the elastic band snap in 3 different places. The top 3 are all together, 4th to 6th are all together. In fact, you look behind, it's all the way down into 9th in that, and then the rest of the field in their own little gap. We're on board with the hoop cam as well. He's got the Fernando Alonso helmet, and I don't blame him. Guardia's looking to do a little bit of Alonso magic.
Here comes Vlado Tito to the outside of Pablo Espes and noses ahead. That's going to be a car length as they're going to go over underneath the Peters Bridge, the gantry here at Mountain Straight, but Espes gets the overspeed back. The Spaniard will have the inside line into turn 2, and the back end steps out on the Spaniard's car. He keeps it on the good stuff, but Paul Smithhurst, however, lost the back end coming out of turn 2 and has dropped all the way to 9th.
Yeah, and that picture-in-picture, you saw them just struggling. Paul just went a little bit too wide there. Probably just came out of that cambering there that you've got at Quarry. And I wonder if that just helped, hindered him. But look at the train in that picture-in-picture. We've got to keep our eyes on the leaders. Raul Rochas Guardia was the fastest man last time out. And different lines coming here as they come through the Frog Hollow. Interesting to see that right now is Tito. He has really shown how much of an expert he is in these cars. What is a man who hones his craft in a Formula 4, not Formula 4, an F4, sorry. I'll get the right car in a minute. What can he do? Because right here, he's really good at this. But the moment you come out the different forest elbow, that elastic band just pulls him back in, and that's where Tito and Guardia gets it. Somehow Pablo needs to utilize that moment there at Skyline to try and get more time in the rest of the track.
Think through the S's heading into the dipper. He was actually all four wheels in the air. Like the car just looked like it was drifting sideways a little bit. I thought, hang on, he's not caught air there. I think he did, and that's why the gap is now closing. Tito closing in on Espes for the race lead. Guardia is there. Oh, it's 3 wide down the back straight again.
Yeah, Castro decides to take it 3 wide. Martin's going to be right behind. Will Martin respond going into the chase? No, just wait. And Becker as well, having just accepted. They took the momentum, similar to what we saw by the leaders at the start of the race. Just had that momentum swing and used it. And we thought maybe that's what would have happened. Hang on 1 second. This is a little bit carnage. 2 by 2 coming out of the chase. The front car here, if they come in, will be Martinez trying to make his way through. And around the outside, holds it for Julian Delgado. Heaven Suarez has to just accept that all he's got is that. But Suapanchi, well, it's not been the race for him. Already down 5 now. He's down into 14.
What a recovery from Martinez in the number 11 as the leaders changed once again. Vlado Tito ahead, but Espes is going to have the inside line. Could Guardia maybe get the inside run as they go through on Mountain Straight? And look, it's 2 by 2 Noah's Ark style again in the battle for 4th with Martin Castro. Guardia up through on the inside of Tito. Espes to the race lead, and Josephine Becker has got through. Xavier Sanchez, well, I think that was Castro. Castro has just lost a few places as well. So as you said, this elastic band is pinging more times than somebody's router at the moment, Craig.
Yeah, I know what those are like. Hang on, you can't go side by side. Going up the hill, and through goes Julian Delgado over to Benji Reed. And that's a great move before the cutting. Time that to perfection to make sure that got real done there. Absolute fantastic little move there. Catches anybody out when someone just sends that car through into the cutting. And sometimes you'll be the driver that gets overtaken. You'll be like, why'd you do that? But at the same time, you got to say, that's a really good move to make it there. But you can just see this train is just from 10th all the way down to 15th. It's the second largest train, but it's a quintessential train because look at it. Anybody could take this P10 and anybody could take this P4 right now from Martin.
Yeah, and you got Josephine Becker in 5th. Xavier Sanchez with the Jordan Honda tribute band I see on that Skippy Barber livery. Nice job. But look, again, Vlado Tito coming back at over 125 miles an hour. He's not going to do the buy one, get one free special. He is.
Right, you buy one, you get one free. I said you buy one, you get one free. And Vlado Tito has taken 2 Spaniards. A little bit of a mess up there coming out of the chase, but makes that move, and it's the overspeed that works. Josephine Becker as well, getting past Martin in this battle, and this is fantastic. You look at to one corner, there's an overtake. You look to the next group at the same corner, another overtake. And I think Becker just went a little bit too hot there. Coming out of Murray, it's going to be hell corner for her. Andre Castro we're looking at right now, but Josephine Becker is important. In fact, Castro decided, nope, sorry Heike, sorry Javier, sorry Bertie, I need to get going. I need to get to the front.
Yeah, so we ride on board with the number 13, and you can see the overspeed for Miguel Quencia Martin, who is going to go to the outside down at Mountain Straight. Let's see if the number 13 can keep the position. Not quite, as Vlado Tito retakes the lead into turn 2. Pablo Espes goes very, very wide, and Raul Guardia retakes P2. It's like a pendulum swing. Now you see me, now you don't.
Yeah, and once again, another driver thinking that they can just hold it to the outside there at Quarry and getting caught out by the way that the track just plateaus a little bit. Remember, it's a street track. They drive this in the real world. Well, that's what you're doing at a street track. But they drive this outside to just go when you go up and down the mountain. This isn't just a racetrack. So you have to just remember that you've got a little bit of road characteristics here as well. A little bit of the middle of the road, just a little bit higher, you know, just to allow the water. That's why you've got the drainage here. So it really just goes to show for some of these drivers that they have to be careful on what they do. And these elevation changes aren't affecting the drivers. It's the camber and the undulations of the track that's really throwing the drivers out today.
Yeah, and also the fact is the speed limit, I think, is anywhere between 50 to 80 kilometers an hour because there are residential houses actually right by the track. So if you have got a seat for the Bathurst 12 Hours every January and the Repco Supercars 1000, oh, Pablo Espes, where are you going to put the car? He's going to stick it. Biggie in the middle. We go 3 wide for the race lead.
3 wide for the race lead, and Pablo is going to get this before the kink at turn 20, and Guardia gets it as well. He's going to get the overspeed, but puts the car just in the middle and say, no, my compatriot, you shall not look for a move there. But as they come to the halfway stage of the race, one must think that you have to look for it as well. We've not looked at this battle for a while, but Benji Reig trying to work his way up. So Opanki has managed to make a place up, and Martinez, you've got to feel sorry, was doing a really good battle in that top 5. Made a mistake going around the outside of this corner too aggressively, and he wants to try and catch up to the rest of the field. It's going to be tough to find 4 seconds in 5 laps, but he can't. Not when literally everything he does brings everybody with him, and it's so unfortunate for him that he can't do anything else. Let's get back, though. Here you see the fan out once again. It's Guardia going to take this. He is. What about Vlado Tito? This is a little bit narrower. You can't go 3 wide, but they're going to throw it to the outside once again, and rinse and repeat. Look what happens.
Yep, and now Josephine. Oh no, we got one in the wall. That's Tim Bertie. Oh, bangs off the barriers, and that's going to be a return to pit lane, and a spare car's going to be used.
Yeah, in fact, what it was, it looked like it was a little bit of braking. Yeah, Martin just broke a little bit harder than he was expecting and run over the back wheel of Martin and just sent him flying, and that is so unfortunate there after what was happening. In fact, retired the car. Taking the tow, not even going to get in the T car. He's going to just stay it. Hey, 1 second, Guardia. Are you looking to make this work? Yes. What about Tito? Are you looking to make this work? No. But the key thing right now that I've just noticed here, Alex, is look at the timing. These guys are doing 31, mid-31s. That other group just had a driver do a 31 flat. It's a possible, but we may see everybody bunch up for a grandstand finish.
Yeah, 5 to go, and this is where things are going to be very, very crucial. Let's have a look at the Helicam replay. So there's Bertie, bang, oh, right front goes over the left rear, and it's the left side that takes the brunt of the barriers on the left going into turn 2. Real shame there for Tim Bertie, but it is a case of that's part and parcel of racing as Vlado Tito goes side by side down the chase. Where's Pablo going to put the car? Well, he's decided not to thread the eye of the needle and go 3 wide. Castro in the minute has got past Josephine Becker, so the battle for P4 continues at an intense racing speed with adrenaline fueled to the max.
Yep, you need a bit more than adrenaline out here today. You need all hands on deck as Castro trying to fend off Becker and Martin and Sanchez. Pablo Epps trying to get past Guardia and Tito, and I think this is a little bit of gamesmanship, a little bit of chess right now. Realizing that all the moves are being taken during the straight, why look to make a move right now? Why just wait? Because you get past them, they're just going to get right back ahead of you. So why bother? Why not wait until this moment? In fact, he's going to try and do a double. He's got 1. He's got 2. This isn't your super speedway. He's got all the overspeed he needs. And I tell you what, if you're Vlado Tito, you're just going to have to accept that this is done. And they all do it. Meanwhile, Martin in the other pack out of nowhere takes that move. And Josephine Becker, you're not going to try and go around the outside of Andre Castro. Almost, but once again, chalk it up to another driver getting caught out around the outside of Quarry. They come to the cutting. Yeah,
that's the thing. You can lose so much speed in these Skippy Barbers. around any point at all. I think there might have been a slight graze of the wall by Josephine Becker coming out of the cutting as they're now going back up the hill. And then you've got Herman Suarez went wheel to wheel for a moment, but Espes leading the way as they go through Frog Hollow into Reed Park, now into Sulman and into McPhillamy at over 180 kilometres an hour. As I think at the end of this, if I was one of these drivers, Craig, I know where I'd want to be for the final lap, in third. Oh, and Vlado Tito had a bit of a code proud moment coming through the S's.
Slid as he came down there at the S's and had to control it. Backs him up a little bit, but that's going to be fine. You don't need to take the lead right now as we're on lap 7. It'll be free to go when they come across the line. So I think he's happy enough to just use the elastic band to get back, and that's what they're doing. Can't do that on the last lap, though. Going to have to really work. And in fact, Guardia realized this and he's like, hang on, what are you doing? If you make that mistake again, we're going to be losing out. I want to do this. They're not even going to bother trying to fight this. It's a big slide there from Guardia as he goes to the break. Meanwhile, Josephine Becker gets past everybody else. Is there going to be a move from Castro to respond? No. You've got to look out for Josephine Becker. I keep saying this and saying this. That is a name you need to worry about if you're driving an open wheeler next year. This is the girl that has won the F2 championship in the Lotus 79. No woman's ever done that. She's going to go for the Lotus 49 F2 championship. No woman's ever done that. In fact, no one's ever done the double in both of those. So she is a threat to be held, and you must be careful. And that's why these drivers are giving her all the respect.
Yeah, I think one driver out of the our leading trio went a little bit wide coming out of Hell Corner as Espes has got Guardia to the outside on the run down Mountain Straight. And this is where it's going to be very, very interesting how things pan out. Espes drops to second, slots in nice and neatly in the wheel tracks of Guardia as they go up the hill through turn 2, now up to 3 at the cutting. These elevation changes do hurt the acceleration of the Skip Barber cars, but when you get them through into McPhillamy, then you see how fast these cars can really be. But it looks like Guardia's tyres are starting to proverbially fall off the side of the Bathurst cliff at the moment, Craig, because Pablo Espes is right up his exhaust pipe.
Yeah, this is not what he wants to see, but I don't think Pablo's going to take any risk this time. He knows that if he gets the lead here, he's going to be losing it by the time they come down to the chase, and then he has to look for some sort of crazy move. Not what he wants to do. These drivers will be patient, and I do think I hear a twang of an elastic band that may have slapped Paul Smithhurst doing the best he can to get right on the back of Josephine Becker, but she almost pulled ahead of everybody in that other pack. You can see it on our live timing there. We're showing the gap between everybody, not the gap to the leader. So you get an idea of that. You want to be over about 1.2 is where the elastic band snaps. Is once again different lines coming out of Forest Elbow, and that's interesting because it almost looks like Pablo, he doesn't want to make a move yet, or if he does, he wants to wait until the last moment. Here he goes, and Pablo once again, rinse and repeat, takes the lead.
Yeah, Vlado just waiting to pick up the pieces if anything happens in front of him, but he'll have to have cat-like reflexes to get on by as they head through into the chase. After this, it's going to be just over 12.4 kilometres. Make that about 7.7 miles of racing left to go here in this final round of the Skip Barber iRacing Series. And a big thank you to everyone watching on the Global SimRacing Channel. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe whilst you're at it. There's plenty of racing coming up, even in the run-up to Christmas. But what a titanic battle. These three, you cannot cover them by a cigarette paper, even if you tried.
No. Let's throw the blanket over them, and let's just throw the tinfoil that's come from the food that we're putting on the barbie as we're down here in Australia. But I'll tell you what, if you want to see more action here at Bathurst, Sunday, Lotus 79 is going to be here as well. And that's going to be faster open wheelers. But you don't need to be fast to be really tussling with danger every time you go down the straight. And that's what these drivers are doing. Becker in the background takes the lead, not take the lead, takes the lead of this grouping back into P4 in the picture-in-picture. Top three waiting They're waiting for the right opportunity right now, and there is no opportunity up the hill. Remember, we talked about those moments before on the iRacing highlights, going side by side, up through here, through Griffin. It's doable, but you don't want to do it. I think that's what Vlado's waiting for. And I agree with you, Alex. I've always said it when it comes to a slipstream battle. The best place to be at the last lap of the slipstream battle, as we see two drivers trying to go side by side, is always P3.
Yeah, and with it being within 0.3 of a second of the top three, we go down into Skyline for the penultimate time. And it's about just concentrating, making sure the car is under control, as Guardia's right tyre goes a little bit smoky as he's flinging that car with not reckless abandon but controlled aggression. And you can see a little glance on the sidewall of the tyre. Nothing too bad there for Guardia, which means he's keeping within striking distance of Espes, who's continuing to lead. But here is Vlado Tito. He's waiting for the opportunity as they go over the crest under the Fuso pickup gantry. And now Guardia noses ahead. He's going to lead us into the chase for the penultimate time. But who out of these three fantastic warriors are going to do the job? As Martin's back in the lead of this quartet with Josephine Becker battling away. She's currently in 5th place, head of Smithhurst, as Xavier Sanchez in the Jordan Honda tribute band is looking to the outside before we've even got to Murray's corner, and the Spaniard is through for 6th. So white flag is out. Last lap, 6.2 kilometres, 22 quarters remain here at the mountain.
This is the crucial 2.5 minutes, the final time they will get to drive around this version of Bathurst, because we see a new version next season. Brand new refresh on this track. Nobody can wait for that. It's going to look fantastic. There's only one way, Vlado, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be very tough to make a move going up the hill, so you're going to have to wait. But to get there, you need to be tight, and that best goes a little bit wider through the middle there of the quarry. But I think he's going to be okay. Nothing's changed in the other group. Martin leads from Becker in that other one from Sanchez. You can see on the timing as we just go through here. Final time up the cutting. And that looked a little bit wider and a little bit slower for Guardia. But I did just see the rear pop up a little bit there for Esps. So I wonder if that's a move. But actually, we've seen a bit more Becker taking that position away from Martin. She takes into 4th. Not the place she wants to be. Keep your eyes here on Vlado Tito, because if anything's going to happen here coming down Comrod, it will belong to the Croatian. And ahead of him, 2 Spanish drivers. Here's Josephine Becker making that move. Josephine's going to go for a late dive into the cutting. She makes it stick. But now, downhill they go. One last time, they will see the hill, and they will be happy to be finished once they get through the dipper, because then it's just one big straight left to go. And I wonder, that's a little bit slow from Pablo there, and a real good run here from Vlado. Let's see what the Serpentine does. In fact, Guardia's not even doing it. Espes is going to try and pull off. Now comes the little Serpentine. What does Tito want to do? He wants to take 1. Guardia's going to give him the slipstream. He wants to take 2. They're 3 wide, going down the Conrod straight, and Guardia's lost his chance. And the inside will belong to Tito to turn 20. But if they come to the chase, Pablo Epps is going to try and take this with all he's got. Is he got an overlap? He does. Is there late braking? Late braking from Epps. He gets it. He's side by Tito. And through the chase they'll go. And the outside works for Tito. Sorry, the inside works. They're still side by side, coming down into Murray. This is going to be tough, Vlado. What have you got left? Around the outside he goes. The car says no, no, no. And a sprint to the line will not happen. That's why he's a pro driver. Pablo Epps takes the victory at Bathurst.
And with that, Xavier Sanchez for the Jordan Honda tribute band takes 4th, ahead of Miguel Quinta Martin. Paul Smith 6th. Josephine Becker finishes 7th across the line. But I could not believe it. We'd seen so many 3 wide moments. Never would I have seen 3 skippies 3 wide into the chase at 200 plus kilometers an hour on the last lap. Are you having a giraffe? Well, not here.
Well, I don't think I've got any giraffes, and I don't think they've got any giraffes in Australia unless it's at the zoos. But what we do have is a result. Pablo Epps, the pro driver, the 9K man. He takes the victory away from Guardia and Valo Tito. Yeah, that outside of Hail Murray's corner, just not doable. But shout out to Javier Sanchez, up 4 positions to 4th, and up 5 for Miguel Martin into 5th. Paul Smithhurst will be 6th, with Josephine Becker respectable 7th. Andre Castro fell down 4 places to 8th. Martinez into 9th. Benji Ree rounds out your top 10.
And then turning the page, Herman Suarez, who moved up 5 places from the penultimate position on the grid to finish 11th, ahead of Julian Delgado. Bit of a difficult race for Peter Suopanki, who finished 13th, ahead of Alex Otero, Rosy Zandor, Augustine Tenna, and unfortunately our only retiree into the barriers halfway through the race at turn 2, Tim Bertie, out on lap 5.
It just goes to show as well, it wasn't even a malice or anything like that. It was respectable hard racing, just a small mistake into another driver, but thankfully everybody else kept going, and that's what you want to see. You don't want to see the drivers having one big collision out here on the mountain, and everybody kept it clean apart from that one incident. So really good to see out there. But just seeing, I don't think we're going to be getting any interviews. I know the drivers are really happy out there with the racing, but Alex, I mean, we've seen a showcase for the finale for the season. How much better do you want?
You can't get any better than that at all, Craig. I think it was just like, you know, what happened last time when the Skippies hit Bathurst, you know, 2x2 Noah's Ark style, through the cutting, through into McPhillamy, into Skyline. And here we had multiple 3-wide exchanges down the chase. And to see it be for the battle, the last one being for the battle for the race lead and for the W tonight, it was just a spectacular way to end a cracking 10-lap race here at the mountain.
And that's what you want. You want to see that. And it happened where we expected it to as well, was on the straights. But that's what you expect to see in this series, is battling and battling. And even though this is an old car, even though now people like to drive the Formula Ford, the F4s, we get it. This still has some legacy and history on iRacing, and it's great that the community is still strong, still going. And really, if you've got a tight-knit community, Alex, that's all you need to create some fantastic racing.
I think also with the benefits of open setup, so the drivers can actually learn with these cars, especially if they're coming into iRacing as a newbie to the world of sim racing. It's going to be the case of learn as you go. And we saw some great battles. You know, even though Esparz, Guardia and Tito had pulled away from the rest, it still didn't stop everybody else from having their own elastic band show here at Mount Panorama.
No, everyone had their show, and that's what you want. No one was on their own, but that means we're going to be on our own, because that is the end. And we'll just give you a rundown of what's going to happen for the rest of the week, because it's kind of bizarre, because we're going to go to Algarve on Saturday for the Lotus 49s. And we're going to stay in Algarve in the evening for the IMSA Vintage. Then we're going to fly all the way back to Bathurst, because on Sunday, the grand finale of the Lotus 79s heads to Bathurst. And both the 49s and the 79s championships still to be decided. Then, once the season's all done, it's still got one more race. The MX5 United will be here on Tuesday up the wonderful Mid-Ohio. There's nothing mid about that track. But that's going to be it for everybody today. And I want to give a shout out to Alex. I want to give a shout out to Christian, of course, to Dougie. And I do like to look away from the screen just to get a list here, because some of the other people that have helped us this season, with Joe, of course, Howie, Sagar, Jake. We've had people that have come in to help us for the rest of the season, and it's been great to see everybody. But I have been Craig King, of course. Everyone has enjoyed what they've seen. Who knows what happens next season? Is definitely, for one sure, it's going to be classic Skippy carnage. Everybody loves the Skippies. Until next time, race hard, race clean, and we will see you on the track.
is iRacing.